4.1 to 4.4. We're going to start with 4.1, which was finding intercepts to graph linear equations. That's actually 4.3. I don't know why it says it here. But we're writing coordinates of the point. So remember, when we write our ordered pair or our coordinates x and y, x comes first. Alphabetically it comes first, and when we graph here, x goes left to right and y goes up and down on our graph. So let's look at A. Let's find point A right here, counting from the origin or the middle. Remember, this is where we begin. We're counting 1, 2 to the right, x is 2, and then up 1, 2, 3. Remember counting 1, 2, 3. How many spaces are we going? Up 3. Don't count the lines, because if you count the lines, there's really 4 lines, but we went up 1 floor, 2 floor, 3 floors, like if we were going up in a building. So there's that. Then point B, from the middle, we're going to the left, which is our negative numbers, -1, -2, -3. We went 3 to the left, -3, and then up just 1. Point C, we are 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, and then down 1, 2, 4, 2. And then last, point D. This one people tend to get confused on because x, we didn't go left or right, so it's really 0. And then on our y-axis, we went down 1, 2, 3, so -3. Those are our ordered pairs or our coordinates. Next, we learned how to make a table and graph an equation. So first, we need to solve this for y. We want the letter y all by itself, so I'm going to move this -2x to the other side by adding 2x. So those eliminate, and we have y equals, and write your x's first, 2x minus 5. So we solved for y. Now we need to make a table so we can graph this. X, y. So first, our domain, what we're going to plug in, we have -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So first I'm going to plug in a -2 in for x. So we have 2 times -2 minus 5. Well, 2 times -2 is -4. -4 minus 5, they're all negatives, so that gives us a -9. Then I'm going to plug in, instead of x, we're going to plug in a -1. So we have 2 times -1 minus 5. Remember, we're just looking at this portion. Oops, you can't see that. This portion of our equation. So 2 times -1 is -2. -2 minus 5, they're all negatives, is a -7. Then same thing, we're going to plug in a 0. 2 times 0 minus 5, well, anything times 0 is 0. So we just have -5. Then plugging in a 1, 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 5, there are more negatives than positives, so it's a -3. Some of you may have seen our pattern here from one number to the next already. We are going really up by 2 towards the positives, so if I went up 2 more, I would have a -1. If we double check that, we would have 2 times 2 minus 5. Well, 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 minus 5 is -1. So these are our ordered pairs that we need to plot. So our ordered pairs, remember, are x, comma, y. So here we really just have our ordered pairs right in our table that we need to plot. Remember, x goes left to right, and y goes up and down. So x is -2, 1, 2, and then down 9. Here would be 7. 9 would be down here, so we can't really plot that one. If you cross it off, that's okay. If you plot it off the graph, that's fine too. Then at -1, we're down 7. This graph goes to -7. Then at 0, right in the middle, we're down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, x is going left to right and y is going up and down. Then at 1 to the right, we're down 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2 to the right, we're down 1. So there are our points. We graphed the equation. If you want to draw a line through, technically you can, but you don't have to for the moment because we only plugged in those numbers. Next, same thing, but we need to solve for y, a little bit more challenging this time. Here's our y, we need to get that by itself. So first move your x's, I'm going to subtract 2x. So we have negative 8y equal to negative 2x plus 48. And then y is not by itself yet, the opposite of multiplying is dividing. We're dividing everything by negative 8. So those eliminate. 2 negatives make a positive. 2 over 8 we can simplify if we divide them both by 2 to be 1 over 4. So we have 1 over 4x. And then 48 divided by negative 8, well, 6 times 8 is 48. So it's a negative 6. So there's our equation. We solved for y. Now we need to make a table. I like to make my table this way so I can show my work to the right. If you make yours this way, that's fine too. So they told us our domain this time are increments of 4, which makes sense because our denominator is a 4. So we have negative 8, negative 4, 0, 4, and 8 that we're going to be plugging into our equation for, the letter x. So first we have 1/4 times negative 8 minus 6. So 1/4 times negative 8 is really negative 8 over 1. So if we multiply straight across, we have negative 8 over 4. 8 divided by 4 is really just 2, or negative 2. So we have negative 2 minus 6, which is negative 8. Let's try the next one. Then we have 1/4 times negative 4 minus 6. Again, this is really just 4 over 1, so you're multiplying straight across. We really have negative 4 over positive 4, which is really a negative 1. This whole thing right here, when we multiplied those, gave us negative 1. Negative 1 minus 6 is negative 7. Next, we're going to plug in a 0. 1/4 times 0 minus 6. Well, anything times 0 is just 0. So 0 minus 6 is negative 6. And as you can see, we're starting to create a pattern. Negative 8, negative 7, negative 6. Next would be negative 5, and then negative 4. If you want to plug those in and double check your answer, not plus, minus, you can. Otherwise, we're going to start plotting our points. Our first point right here is negative 8, negative 8. Our graph only goes to 7, so we know negative 8 would be right off of the graph there. Here's x, and here's y. Remember, x is left to right, y goes up and down. Then our next point, negative 4, negative 7. X is negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 7. That should be right at the bottom there. Then we have 0, down 6, 0, down 6. That was only 5. Then 4, down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then last, 8 to the right and down 4. This goes again only to 7. If you wanted to put 8 over here, you can, and we'd be right off the graph. Otherwise, you don't necessarily need to plot those ones. If you want to draw your line through, you can. You do not have to. Later on, we will have to draw our line all the way through, but however, we only plotted those 5 points. Alright, this one, same thing we're going to be graphing, however, different directions. Find the x-intercept and the y-intercept, and then graph the equation. So we're going to have two different equations here. One, finding our x-intercept, meaning when we have x, y, but y is going to be a 0. That's where we're going to cross the x-axis, because that's where y will not be at a positive 1 or 2. It's when y is at 0, when we're really on this x-axis. And then the opposite, our y-intercept, is when x is 0. So when x is not at 1 or 2, when x is 0, we're really on our y-axis. So that's why it's called our y-intercept. So let's take a look at solving these equations. So first, plugging in when y is a 0, we have 12x minus 8 times 0 equal to 48. So anything times 0 is just 0. So we really just have 12x equal to 48. What is going on? There we go, 48. And then divide by 12. We should get x equal to 4. Then the same thing down here, but when x is 0, we're finding our y-intercept. So we have 12 times 0 minus 8y equal to 48. Anything times 0 is just 0, so we have negative 8y equal to 48. So divide by negative 8, and we should get y equals a negative 6. So if we graph these, first our x-intercept when x is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. And then our y-intercept down here when y is a negative 6. Negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right there. And then we do need to draw our line through from one end to the other. That is our graph. After that, we learned our last section, which was slope. It says plot the points, draw a line through them, and then find your slope. When it says find, that means count it. Don't just tell me if it's positive or negative. Tell me what is the slope as a number. So we're going to plot our points here. Here we have x, y, x, y. So x is 1, and then y is down 4, right there. And then over here, x is 5 to the right, and then down 7, which is right at the bottom. So I'm going to draw my line through there. And then I'm going to count rise over run for our slope. I'm going to just write that here. Rise over run. So first, I like to start on the left. Remember, we read slope from left to right always. We're really going down 1, 2, 3. So down 3. And over 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our elevator taking up and down first, and then left to right. So our slope is negative 3/4, which makes sense because if we were to walk across this, we would be going downhill or negative. Let's try the next one. Here are our points, x, y, x, y. Here's x and y. So first, x is negative 3 to the left, and then down 1 because it's negative. And then on the other side, 6, which is to the right, and up 2, right there. So let's put our line through here. From one point to the other, counting our slope, rise over run, we're rising 1, 2, 3. And we're running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold on. 2, 3. Oh my gosh, you guys. It should be a 9 because when I plotted this, I only went 5 to the right instead of 6. So our point should be really over there. So we really are going 9 to the right. That was my mistake. So this line should go whoop, through that point there. So 3 over 9 we can divide by 3 to give us 1 over 3 if we simplify it. The last way